He's not a nepo kid. He's sweet and he speaks straight from the heart. I'm in conversation with Vihaan Samat for the Danube Properties Filmfare Awards OTT 2024, co-powered by Hyundai. You may have seen him in Mismatched, Call Me Bay, and Control. He's also an actor who I think has a great future in the industry. Thank you for being part of my conversation.
Thank you for having me, Jitesh.
What would you tell a Vihaan who started off with his auditions today? I mean, you've been here at least about 5-6 years
5,
now.
6 years, yeah.
So what would you tell him to do?
I would say keep your head up, number one. Just keep auditioning. Don't take this as a sign that they don't want you or this casting office doesn't like you or anything about yourself or your self-worth. Just I would be kinder to myself and I'd say it's okay, it's a part of the process. See what you can learn and just go back next time as soon as you can.
Were there like moments of vulnerabilities? Did you hate yourself? Was there a lot of self-loathing, overthinking?
Yeah, of
what
course.
What did you go through?
So I think I tend to be an overthinker in general. Okay, I think I do have. I'm a little bit of an anxious person sometimes. So that obviously translates when you're working and what you're selling is essentially yourself, right? When you go to an audition room, you're not selling a product that you made. You're not selling like a pen or a paper. You're selling the human that is you that brings emotion into something. So it's very easy to take that personally because they're saying no to you, not this right now, I want this. So then you keep thinking, why was it not me? And you have to understand that you're a very valuable, complex person that needs to fit in the right space. And that's something I learned early on, and thankfully so. So I learned to be like, okay, maybe not this one, but the casting director, the director obviously likes me. I'll come back for the next one they're doing. I went to college in the US, so I started auditioning very early, right after I graduated. One of the first auditions I had was this thing called Mrs. Fletcher for HBO, which is a big show now. And they were searching for a character, and I had just graduated, and I went in. The lady loved my audition. She got my information and everything. She said, "Who's your agent?" Blah blah blah. She got my visa status as well, and then I went in for a callback. And this is in the middle of December, in winter, in the snow. It's cold. Everyone has left. I'm about to leave for Bombay in maybe a week, and I finished this callback before I left. And we would shoot in LA the next after 2 months. So I went in again. She loved my audition, everything. They're like, great, great, great. Then I was about to leave the US. It was one day before my flight. And I was waiting for a call from my agent for a week. I said, this is my big break. It's an HBO show. I'm going to get it. I'm the guy. And I was just looking at my phone. Your phone doesn't ring. And you're like, why will it not ring? Why is my agent? And I called my agent and said, yeah, we'll get back to you. So I was like, okay, fine. What's going on? Maybe they're negotiating a contract. Maybe they're talking about visas. And then I get a call in the middle of winter and they say, hey, Vihaan, you did an amazing audition. Unfortunately, they just went another direction. They really love your work. Maybe not this one. It's a difficult one, I understand, but the next one. And that was the first time I felt so close to something and I felt it taken away from me at the last moment, even though it was never mine. And that's when I realized I went through a period of like a week of like, oh my God, am I not enough? What is going on? Why? And then I realized you can't operate this way because your life will have 500 to 1,000 to maybe 2,000 auditions. Are you going to get so hung up and so sad about each one and feel like all of those 2,000 auditions you deserve? So that's when I tried to change my relationship to it, where I said, this is mine. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to do my best. And once I leave, it's forgotten.
Like, what's your favorite corner at home? Like, after a hard day's work, how do you unwind? Like, do you have a favorite room?
Yeah,
favorite
it's my room. I've arranged my room the way I want
like
it.
How? Tell me about it.
I have a bookshelf with all the books I've read. I have my TV and I have my vinyls. I have Pink Floyd vinyls just arranged. I love Pink Floyd. I have my snacks in the corner. I have my bedside table with my whatever, my watch, my whatever lotion, perfume, whatever. And I have my computer set up. And ever since I was a child, I was a huge gamer. And I feel like it came from a place of self-soothing.
Gamer, how ironical. Self-soothing and gamer.
I'll tell you why. Because when you play video games, you switch off. So if there's anything going on in life, you're just simply focused at a task at hand. And it could be the same with sports. It could be the same with any high intensity activity. I just chose gaming, right? And there's a study is shown where someone was talking about it, that surgeons who played video games had somewhere around a 25% increase or higher success rate in their surgeries or in their ability to perform.
Yeah.
So this on this podcast, people will be like, if we knew this, then we'd make all surgeons play video games. If your abilities improve by 25%, you would, right? Like, but it's gaming is gaming. Game खेल रहा है, बच्चा है. But for me, that was a very important thing because whenever there were events going on in my life, now didn't have any siblings. Sometimes I got very lonely. Sometimes things at home weren't very good. I was not very close to my cousins. My friends, we were children, not, on that basis. And especially as boys, you don't talk about a lot of things. There was a time I was getting bullied at school. And so there was a lot of stuff coming to a head. And I feel like the only thing that provided me a respite from a lot of things was gaming. Because I could switch off, sit there.
Why were you bullied? Because
I think it comes down to how much you allow people access to you and how you view yourself. I must have viewed myself as weak or lower than. And I was skinny and I was sensitive. I was a sensitive young boy. And I was very intelligent and I was very smart. And I used to get straight A's. And I was good at sports, but I was never as good as the other boys because I had never had confidence in it. But when there's a couple of rowdy boys and they want to have fun and they want someone to pick on, they pick on someone who's weak. And if you're strong, you'll set boundaries for yourself. And you'll say, no, F you. Oh, I'm leaving. I don't need this. But because somewhere I maybe felt I wasn't enough, I wanted to still be a part of them.
Get validated.
I get validated. So I allowed them to, to have access to me.
How do you do up your, say, house in New York? And, when you travel, do you do a lot of stuff which sort of inspires you to, hey, I saw this there, so I'm going to do that. Has that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my home, when I was younger, was a bit cluttered. And it was a lot of stuff because we moved from, we were in Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta. We were moving a lot of houses.
Really?
Yeah, we were all over the place.
Okay.
Because my dad was moving with every job. The company would give us certain homes, right? So we used to have a 4-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. Finally, we settled and permanently, my parents bought this 2-bedroom in Bandra. Now, all that lovely furniture that my mom loves and fantastic furniture, where does it go? All this stuff, because mom was, she thought she'd get a bigger and bigger house and they don't do like a duplex with 7 bedrooms. They kept buying stuff from Turkey and Greece, and now finally you can't let go of it क्योंकि 2 bedroom है. 2 bedroom है, दिखा देंगे. Manage कर लो. So our home had lovely stuff, but it was a bit cluttered. So that in turn, when I was growing up, sort of bothered me. And then I realized that I loved minimalism as a reaction to my surroundings. Because if you think about every artistic movement in life, it's a reaction to what is already there, right? So I made sure my house in New York was very, very, very clean. Like, perfect, just one carpet, one thing here. If there's nothing necessary, throw it. Maybe you'll regret you need it later, but you throw it. Everything spick and span organized in clean lines. And I remember one friend of mine came in and she was in my room and she was like, you have a very clean room. And I was like, yeah, thank you. She's like, you don't have any stuff on the walls. And I was like, yeah, I don't. She's like, Vihaan, are you a psychopath? And I was like, no. She's like, you have one poster of a wolf above your bed frame. You have 3 books. You have one laptop. Like, where's the mess? Are you I'm like, no, I just and so I was very, very intense about that. Now I've calmed down. I like a little bit of homeliness. I like a plant here and there, and I like a little bit of aesthetics. I don't mind a full drawer, but I used to organize my socks one over the other like this. I used to organize. It was a bit of
OCD.
It was a bit of that, and I think it's reduced now. Now I enjoy filling my life with things that I like to look at, like a Pink Floyd vinyl, like a nice speaker, like this. I just like a nice aesthetic. I like the way the room smells and all.
What is the kind of preparation you do when you have an intense role? Like, what is the rigorous stuff that you do?
So, number one, what I want to say is before any preparation, you can prepare your word to your death. But if you go on set and something changes, you have to be open and aware and acceptable to do that, because your mood and everyone's mental state on that day triumphs everything. Situations change. But that being said, preparation may I think about the scene and I think about what that character might be going through. And if I feel something inside and if it moves me, then that's enough. Then I think about going deeper into that emotion. Because deeper is a very important word, because you fully have to like sink your head below the water and hear nothing and just simply live that, I think. And if that is enough, that's enough. But I've also done 2 years of method acting, and I don't necessarily consider myself a method actor. But what it's given me is it's given me a tool belt and an emergency kit for when things aren't going according to plan. Okay, I can try this. So in a lot of scenes, you do a lot of tips and tricks that can help you.
Like,
So one tip, and so okay. So the first thing, you have to relax your entire body. If you have tension, all that, you sit on a chair and you just release everything that's happening. So if you're going up in your mind and you can't make space for anything else, and if your shoulders are tensed up, you just focus on every body part and you just let it go and you breathe.
as yoga.
Kind of. Now you're neutral. Okay. Now once you're neutral, you can build on what you want to build on. So for example, if there's an emotional scene, I'm not able to get that pain. You can think of something else in your life which had similar pain. Like if you've lost someone, you think about when you had something that you lost in life. Maybe it was a family member or a friend. And you just sit with that emotion. And you don't think about the emotion. You think about what you saw, what you heard, what you smelled, what you touched, and what you tasted. Although tasted, nobody really thinks about unless it's food. And then you just hear and see and visualize that moment, and the rest will come. Another thing we do is sometimes if our co-actor is not bringing that emotion out of you, not because of their fault, it's just not inspiring something in you because of your system, you can replace their face with someone you love. And you can find things in their eyes, in their face that are similar. Is it the way they smile? Is it a crow's feet over here? Is it the dimple over here? And you can find similarities in the person. But of course, the main thing while acting is your connection to your partner and being present. These are just tips and tricks to help you push further.
So you never had a fanboy moment at all?
I did. I my first credit actually, which is a lesser known fact, is in a film with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your Michael Keaton.
Yeah, so I auditioned for this thing, and by that time I was like, audition and forget about it, baby. And the casting guy loved me, so I got a call back, and it was for this Michael Keaton film called Worth. So cut to, we're doing a classroom scene where Michael Keaton is a lawyer talking to law students about what a life is worth. I had a huge fanboy moment because he walked into class just in a dad like jacket and checked shirt and pants and sneakers and his headphones. Looks like a Walkman. And he walks in and he says, he nods at people. He just walks and paces back and forth. And he's listening to music. Okay? And he's going like this, he's going like this, he's going like this. And I'm sitting there like, that's Batman. Hello, Batman. Please talk to me. But it's a class of 50 people. And you're a guest artist, you know?
Yeah.
So he's walking around, he's getting to zone. He takes it off, goes to the director, he's like, hey, I'm thinking we can do this, I'm thinking we can do this. How about we do it here? And then what's my line? And then I go here, and then I walk here, and then he sits on a table for a while, and he's like, and then suddenly he just starts the scene. He starts saying his line. Okay, he's like, you then, what about you? And then everyone's like, हम rehearsal कर रहे हैं या ये अपने आप क्या हो रहा है? So we were very we were on guard, and we were caught unawares with that. And then we just started doing the scene. And then it was very organic. He got into the mood, he started saying this. He blocked it once, and then we started shooting.
And was that scene retained?
Yeah, it's in the film.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in the film. You can see me. I play a character called Patel. And I think that's the reason I think I love where I am right now in India. It's because I feel there is still time for the US to incorporate ethnicities and deal with different sorts of backgrounds properly. in terms of casting, in terms of lead roles, in terms of the perception. Because believe it or not, I mean, a large part of America is still mostly rural and white. And for them to accept a lead hero uh, who's of an Indian background, it'll take some time. And of course, like India is where home is. And there are cultural things that are different in terms of understanding relationships and love and heartbreak and friendship. It's very different.
What did you understand about relationships and love and heartbreak? How many relationships in the US and how much heartbreak?
I had one relationship when I was in the US that ended because I was coming back to India and she was staying there. But it was a very mature understanding that we cannot continue this because there is
Long
no
distance.
yeah, I mean, there is no clarity on when
She was white.
she was white. Yeah, there's no clarity on when she might be here, I might be there, and we're young, and this doesn't. I don't think we were both like, हम शायद शादी नहीं करेंगे. तो why push and push and push for something that might not result in something like of a commitment? And I think we realized that it was easier for both of us to just disentangle instead of forcing like a 4 year long distance relationship.
You work with like really varied people like Excel, then Vikram, and of course Dharma. So you want to sort of sum up
Yeah.
your experiences?
So when I came back from the US, I said, I don't know how the hell I'm going to build a career. I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's start by writing things that you like. Okay, so I wrote down all the films that I liked. Then I said, let's write down all the directors you want to work with. So I wrote down Zoya Akhtar, Anurag Kashyap, Vikramaditya Motwane, Karan Johar. And I said, I have to find a way to make this a reality, right? So as time went on, I used to reach out to people and reach out to basically all I did was reach out to casting and go for auditions. And my lovely agent Shawmi at one point she said there's this show by Tiger Baby called Eternally Confused and Eager for Love, and she said, have you tested for it? They're looking for a boy, they can't find a boy. Okay, so I go to Aram Nagar, and by this point I'm very good friends with Aram Nagar. And by this point, it's not paved or anything. There's no the kabutar and this and that and barish mein kichad tha. And like I was like, this if this is the place to get work, then this is what I am. I'm not going to pretend like I'm one of those business guys who go to India Bulls and ICICI every day because this is what I've chosen. Now you come here, you reduce your ego, you sit and you prove that you're good enough to get something from here. Then we'll talk about all the other fancy offices and all. Are you good enough for Aram Nagar? That's step one. So I was very good friends with Aram Nagar and I went and I was at this office called Casting and I got the script for Eternally. And I remember when I read it, I just immediately understood where this guy's coming from. Because this guy's an anxious guy. I said, Acha, yes, make hill. There's a guy his thoughts are rambling. So I go in and I audition and they love me and they come back saying, lovely, great audition. And they keep in touch because then lockdown happens. So I give this great audition. And I remember I was sitting with my dad and he's like, so what's going on with work? And I said, nothing really. I've not earned anything really in the past 6 months, but I've given this audition. This audition I have a good feeling about. He said, okay, theek hai. So then in lockdown, they do another audition over Zoom. Then after they call me for a callback in the Tiger Baby office. So I do a callback with Rahul, my director, and everyone. And then after the callback, then they say, yeah, we think it's you. And I remember going to the Excel office, Tiger Baby office, and I sat down finally for the first table read with Suchitra Pillaai, Rahul Bose, Ankurati, all these people. And I looked at the board, okay, and the director had written like casting and budgets and production and EO. And right in the center of the whiteboard, my character named Ray. It was Ray with a question mark, with a big circle on it. Because it had been a year and a half and they couldn't find it. And finally I was sitting there and I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. So the first time I met Zoya was actually on set, finally shooting. And it was lockdown again. We were wearing masks and no one could, So I was sitting there, I was preparing for my first scene in this first show. And I'm preparing like this. Then Zoya comes in and she's flanked by her two assistants. And she comes in and she says, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh my god, hi, how are you? What's going on? Like, hi, about to shoot." And I remember I was so wired. First of all, in this anxiety space, because my character is an anxious person, and of course for meeting Zoya for the first time, that she said, "I'm so happy you're Ray," and I heard, "I'm so happy you're here." So then I was like, "I'm so happy you're here too." And then she started laughing. I was like, "Why is she laughing?" And she's like, "Kill it." And she gave me a fist bump. I was like, "Cool." And then she left. I looked at Angad and Karthik, who were trying to be creators at that time. And I said, "What happened?" And they also started laughing at me. I was like, "Kya hai yaar?" For a pehla shot de raha hu main. So that was a nice, interesting character moment for me. And then, of course, they were lovely at the interviews and all that. And they said lovely things about my performance. Um, Same thing with Karan. The first time I met Karan actually was I got cast for Call Me Babe. They called me again. Casting called me to the office. I aced the audition. They loved me, locked in everything, and then did the whole table read. Never met Karan, and we were at some screening at NMACC, and I was walking into. I get all these awkward run-ins with people, and it's so interesting. But I was walking into the men's bathroom, and then Karan was walking out. So he walks out, and then he goes like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Oh, hey!" And we're blocking the men's bathroom entrance right now, okay? And he goes like, "Hey, so nice to see you." And I'm like, "So nice to see you." And he's like, "You were fantastic in the show." I'm like, "Thank you." He's like, "Really great work." I'm like, "Thank you. It means a lot." He's like, "Don't worry about it. You're great." And we just stare at each other and smile a bit. He's like, "Okay, cool." And then he leaves. And I'm like, "Great." Would have loved to meet him in his office, but this also works. Same with Vikram. I think Vikram, I loved his work for a long, long time. From I saw Udaan in school, I saw Trapped on the plane back from college, Sacred Games while I was in the US. I just have kept up with the stuff the entire time. Um, so I auditioned, and apparently they loved my test, and I got locked and all that. And the first time I met him, he called me to the office to just meet him. So I went to Aram Nagar, Andolan, and I went in and I sat down and I said, "Hey, hi." And of course,
Hey is your normal thing.
yeah, I said, so nice to meet you." And he said, and of course, because every conversation I have has to be somewhat awkward, Vikram is also a very introverted sort of person.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Hey man, how are you?" And I was like, "Great." I said, "Thank you for casting me." He said, "No, no, man, the audition was very good." And I said, "Cool. Um, so what do you want to talk about?" And he said, "So yeah, I mean, do you know the film?" I said, "No, not really." He said, "Very cool. You should read the script." And I said, "Yeah, good idea." But should we talk first? Or he said, "No, no, we can talk." I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know what to talk about." So then I said, "I loved all your films from Udaan to Tab, blah, 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 blah." I went on. He's like, "Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you."
Since you're currently dating a popular actor, so
Am I?
are you what like if I were to ask you what are the do's and don'ts in that relationship for you
Of my
of dating? Yeah, tell me about your dating life, your love life.
I think for any person I was dating, I think it would be about making sure that they feel safe and comfortable, because formally I'm an actor, and there's a lot of stigma and there's a lot of hearsay and there's a lot of perceptions about actors in general. Okay, they're not loyal and they're not this and they're
But
not
doesn't it worry you like two actors together? Ek ka narcissism is difficult to handle. How can two self-absorbed actors be together? Is it possible to
It's
date?
I've dated actors in the past, and I think it's
Oh,
completely
this is a conversation we should have off record.
uh,
Okay. So who's looking more into the mirror? You or your partner?
I
Yeah?
yeah.
What's the worst thing that's been said about you? Like, has somebody trolled your performance and said he's so wooden? Or has somebody said nice things about you? What's the worst and nicest thing that people have said?
I think okay, touchwood, a lot of I believe a lot of the chatter online is very kind to me. They're like, "He's a nice guy. I have not heard problematic things about him." I've looked up myself a couple of times, I will admit. More than a couple of times.
On Reddit?
Yes. Bolly
Oh,
Blinds and
God.
Gossip.
Oh, God.
Everyone looks at Bolly Blinds and Gossip. I've looked up, and the general consensus I've received from back then is he seems like an uncomplicated guy. Good for him. I was like, yes, dude.
So you
And
wear your mask very well.
uh,
Or you hide things very well.
yeah, I would like to believe I don't have that much dirt on me, but yes, that could also be true. I think the most problematic thing is when people are like, "Ye kaun hai?" You know, like if like I arrive initially, when I would arrive and the paps would be there, they'd be like, "Koi aaya hai kya? Kaun hai ye?" And I'd be like, "Okay, just hold it together, Vihaan. Stand there, smile. They'll understand who you are." And with time, it happens. I think if people talk about my performance, it really affects me. So far, touchwood, nobody has said कि Vihaan's given a bad performance. But when people are like so, they're like, Vihaan was decent. Then I'm like, oh, I can't take that. It's very difficult for me to take that because either have strong opinions about what I did. You don't be like, listen, that is very difficult for me to take. And then I'm thinking about other stuff. Once or twice, if people talk about my outfit, my mom gets very stressed out. Because my mom is like, Vihaan, you have to dress well and your hair should be proper and your online portals need to catch you and you need to be this. And I'm like, okay, so that a little bit of that is ingrained into me.
So finally, what is it that you're looking for as an actor? Like, okay, you've done these 4 OTT shows and films. What is it that, were there dream actors you aspired to be? And what is it that you want to do ultimately?
I did look up. I still do look up to Irfan Khan, and a lot of. I mean, a bunch of different. I can't begin to start talking about all the actors I look up to. I think I always admired truth, and I always admired depth and reality. And my acting teacher once said that art is meant to disturb the comforted and comfort the disturbed. So when I'm comforted, I want to see something that shakes me so I can understand what it's like. But for whatever's inside me, whatever I've been through, when I look at art, I want to feel like, yes, that's what I felt like. So my journey right now is I really want to reach out to the edges of society and humanize their experiences. Whether it's a person who has a very deep relationship with his horse because he feels so lonely, or whether it's a person who his family is abandoned, or whether it's a person going through some disability, or whether it's a person who's lost everything and is contemplating some very dark things. I want to be able to go there and humanize that experience. And in the process, I feel like selfishly or as actors, we are able to express things within us that we're not able to express. I think everyone has a very varied and deep and complicated life, and acting allows you to show how much you've been through and how much there is inside you.
So here's to more relaxation, to more क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, and just stay you. You're really lovely. Just stay you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.